Hello, welcome. So in today's video, I'm just going to show you a complete guide on how to use Redux Toolkit in Next.js with TypeScript. So I want to quickly show you what we are going to build so that you know what to expect. So we're going to work on more especially four things. The first one is to implement the counter with Redux. And this is just to show you how to set it up. Okay, so this is going to help us to show you how to set it up. If I just click on to this, the counter. So this is a simple counter, but it's going to help us understand how to actually implement Redux and understand all the concepts within Redux. So this is going to first be our first example on implementing Redux in Next.js with TypeScript. So the second one is going to look at advanced example. So in the first example, we're looking at the counter. And in the second example, we are looking at the cut functionality with Redux. So if I right click and open this in a new tab. So first of all, as you can see here, we have a list of products like so. And you can see already by default, I have some items which are already in the cart. I'm first going to go ahead and remove these items from cart so that we have nothing. If I try to view cart right now, you see that the cart has nothing. Shopping cart, it has 0 items and no items in the cart. If I go back here and I add some items, one, and you can see now it says it has been added and it tends to remove from cart. I just like going to add 3 items like so. So if I just go to view cart now, I have 3 items in the cart. So the first thing that we're going to look at is how do you add the items, and these are using Redux to add them in the cart. The good thing is even if you refresh the page, these items will persist in because we're using the local storage. You can go ahead and remove the cart from this and it will update instantly. Now, I didn't add the functionality of adding this, but really that is something very small that you can add on by yourself. But you're just going to look at how you can add and remove items like so. And if I go back to the shop, you will see that one item is still in the cart, and this can be a good indicator that a person can do is this item is already in the cart. Or what you do is that you could just add here an increment for incrementing the quantity, whichever you like. So that is in the second example. In the third example, we are looking at a multi-step form, but still with Redux. So I'll also open this in this, and you can see here we start when we have a form, and it is showing us that the current step is step 1. And if I just go ahead and fill in some data, I'm just going to fill in some data here and click on the next step. You can see now we are on step 2. Actually, this step I only considered 2 steps because of time, but you can just put as many steps as you can, and you can just get here. If I go in the console right now, I can just go ahead and submit all the data. So I'm just going to go ahead here. And if I fill in like this, I can just go ahead and click submit. And you can see that all the data we have in the form has been submitted. Okay. So just going to cover all these concepts in one video from the scratch, from the setup. And apart from that, I also have a full documentation on what we implemented in the whole video. From the installation to setting up everything, I have a complete guide that you can follow to guide you as I'm using in the video. So if you're interested to watch how I'm implementing this, let's get started. Hello, welcome once again. So in today's video, we are going to look at complete Redux Toolkit in Next.js with TypeScript. So this has been most requested video. Most people I've been requesting to redo Redux Toolkit using TypeScript. And if you check on my YouTube channel, you will see that I already have one video for Redux. Um, and this was like 4 months ago. And most people, unfortunately, we did it in plain JavaScript. And I think it is good if you have not watched anything with TypeScript, and you would first go and watch this video, because in this video I went ahead and I had even a point that I was sharing with you. So it is explaining most terms, you know, why we did this, the cat functionality and blah blah. But the good thing with in this video, I explained in details, like the notes, step by step and all that. In this video, I'm going to be really talking about the advanced usage somehow and how to use it in TypeScript. That is the main difference. And here we tackled only one example. And in this video, we might go and tackle more examples. So you can just go and also watch this video. But if you want to implement it in TypeScript, then it is okay, you can watch this one. Okay, so now that that one is out of the way, we're going to look at four things. We are going to look at the installation and the setup. We are going to first implement the counter with Redux so that you understand purely how this can be set up. And then we are going to start adding more functionalities. For instance, the cut functionality plus the multi-step functionality. So those are like some of the common use cases where you will see Redux being used. But there are some more other places you can use Redux. But in this video, I'm just going to look at typically those three examples why you can use Redux. More especially when you want to save user preferences or you want to maintain states across pages. Whatever you find you are struggling to keep state across pages, that is a typical use case why you can use Redux. So getting started, I also created a documentation. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this. You can just go, this is hubdocs.vercel.app, just here, and you land onto this. Now here you can just go ahead and search Redux. Okay, just like this. Click in this and you will see that you have this page which is setting up Redux. So I'll be using this one to follow up for this tutorial. I took time to create this so that you actually can reference and you can go back to these points. Okay, so the first step, or number one, is to set up the Redux, and to do that you need to have a Next.js app installed, and that's exactly what I did. I installed Next.js, and one more thing I installed was Shard. So if you just check in this, you will see that Shard has already added its things, but I haven't added any component, but I just simply installed Shard CN. Okay, so you can just go ahead and install Shard. They just simply go to their documentation, just click on installation and choose next, just install it, and we get started. So at this point, the first thing is to actually first install Redux. Now, those ones who don't understand Redux, in brief, Redux can be used to maintain state across the different pages or across the entire app. So most cases you have a state like on the home page and you want to maintain that state on other pages. Let's say you want to you are, for instance, in this example of the cart, on the e-commerce you add to cart, and when you go to another page, then you find the cart still exists, like the products in the cart, they are there. You can also use example of multi-step form and so many other examples. You can even create a complete login and register functionalities using Redux. You can just go ahead and try out that one. But in this, I'm just going to guide you in how to implement these ones. So the first step is actually to do the installation, and you just simply install Redux Toolkit Redux. And I'm also going to open up the documentation. It is here. You can just go reduxtoolkit.org, and then they have all these things here. Now, there are some things which are just like basic that they will not show you, but there's something that we'll be referencing, or when I was creating, I was putting in consideration of this documentation. And you see the installation is here. npm install, no, that is like for the types. Installation is here. When you click on getting started, you will just game and go down here, and they will just tell you here in an existing app, npm install Redux Toolkit and also npm install Redux. So you just need to do these two packages, and they're the ones we are going to first install. So I'm just going to go ahead and install this. Okay. So if I just go ahead and just say npm install, so I'm just going to install these two, the Redux Toolkit and the React Redux. So the Redux, at first they used to have Redux. There is Redux itself alone, which was more complicated to implement. So they brought this Redux Toolkit, which was simplifying Redux. And if you just go here, why they chose that, why Redux Toolkit, I think somewhere they explained it on this somewhere. Okay, there is why they were comparing with Redux, but the reason why they brought Redux was actually to help, you can see here, purpose. The Redux tool package is intended to be a standard way to write Redux logic. It was originally created to help address three common concerns about Redux. Configuring Redux store is too complicated. I have to add a lot of packages to get Redux to do anything useful. Redux requires too much boilerplate code. So these are the three common issues they were just trying to address when using Redux. People actually were not using Redux so much those days because it was really complicated to implement in a project. But after bringing Redux Toolkit, this simplified the usage of Redux, and we all adopted to that. Okay, so now we have installed Redux, as you can see here. So I'm just going to go next. So we're just going now to look at the terminologies that are going to be the or they are most used in it. We're going to use, for instance, a slice, and is a collection of Redux logic, or this is a part or a small part of the state in the store. Okay, and then we have action, and actually I'm just going to explain this when we're actually just doing the stuff, the actual stuff here. You might not actually just understand them. When I'm just like implementing, I will just go ahead and I explain these terms in relation to that example. Okay, so the first step, we're just going to implement the counter example. That is going to be the first one. So the counter I want us to use, the UI I think is here. Just going to right click, open this image in here. So I want us to create this a counter, a simple counter, something like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a counter. So the first thing I'm just going to do is going ahead and creating this. I'm just going to create the page here. It's going to be page. Sorry, not page, counter. So you say counter. And here, new file is going to be page.tsx rfc. So normally the pattern we will just use here is going to be the counter. So normally the pattern we use is that you always make your pages to be server components, and then you can create a component, for instance, counter component here. So I'm just going to go in component and I'll just say counter dot tsx and RFC. I'm just going to say now here h2 Redux counter. Okay, and now you can just come to this page where we have this counter. I can just go here and I say counter. Sorry, just like this. And if we just go back, we can first go to the page and add a link to this. So I'm just going to add inside here. I'm just going to say, well, we have implement counter with Redux. I'm just going to turn this into a link so that we can click on it. So just say link, next link, just say href is slash counter. Okay, and I will just do all of these ones. This similarly, I'm just going to make these ones links. This one will be href shop. So this one just say shop. And then finally we have the multi-step form. So just say just here put the page, and I'm just going to say link, and then we have this href is going to be slash I think maybe form. Okay, so we just have these three pages and we're starting with the counter. So if I just go back to this page, now all these ones are links. If I click on this, you can see we have Redux counter. I'll just grab here the h2. Okay, I can just come here and copy this. Okay, now we just go and say on this page, go to the counter, and where we have this, let me just add that. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to just call this Redux. Redux counter. Okay. So on the bottom here, I'm just going to have maybe py of 4. And maybe basically I'm just going to put this class name. I'm just going to give max width of 3 XL. And maybe MX auto. Okay, so here I'm just going to put two things. Okay, we just put another div. Here we'll be having a p tag. So just I will have a button. So I can just simply go and create. I'm just going to create just a normal button. So I'm just going to say button, and let me first drop off this. So I just have a button here saying I think you're just going to be like a plus or something. So you're just going to say plus from Roasted React. And when you install Shard, it comes with Roasted, so you don't have to worry. So in between here, we'll have a p tag showing the actual counter like 0. And then here we have this, I think, minus. So I think this minus has to be here. So minus, and then this is going to be plus. Okay, and let's go ahead and just say flex items center. Okay. If you just go and look at this, okay, so this is how it looks like. First of all, you could just go to the layout. Let's just go to the layout a bit. So in where we have the children, I'm just going to give them a basic styling. So just padding y of 8 and dot px of maybe also 8. Let's see. Yeah, just to style the page. Okay, and for this case, you could just go and bring this. Could just have this whole entire component. Uh, I think let me just a second actually wait this, and in the counter I'm going to give the class name bg slate. I'm just going to use bg purple 600 maybe. So let's just look at this now. Okay, so that's great. Just give the min height of screen. Okay, so this is great. Now I'm just going to use also the I guess the flex or something. You could just go ahead and just say we have these two components, and we can just say flex call and justify center items center, and we can just look at that. Okay. Okay, so we can just go ahead and also use like text. Why? Okay. Just to be, is that just purple, blue something? You could just make this one blue. I'm not so sure, really. Okay, whichever we use. Let me just go to the counter component now, and I'm just going to try to give a class name here. Sorry, class name, and I'll just give it exactly this here. Okay, let me remove padding bottom. Okay, so for these, also so you have this here. In fact, you could just go ahead and just add this one to be 6. Really just to make it big. And then for these buttons, you can just give a class name to these ones, width about 6, age 6. Let me see. Let's just say 8. Okay, I think 8 is okay. Just going to add also on this. Okay, I think this is just like good enough, and let's give the gap of space X. Okay, so we have the minus and the plus. So for this component, it is actually done. Just going to say here 6. Just to give a little bit, push it down. So we have this component is done. So just going to use this base component to understand Redux. First of all, we have two things we want to do here. We want, if I click on this plus button, it should increment this counter. If I click on this one, should decrement the counter. Now, if you wanted, this one really is a basic example, because if you wanted, you could use the normal state. Okay, you could have just used the state and you just say counter, and you just say state counter, and then you say here it is use state. You could just use state for this, and you say maybe by default is 0, and then here you could just come and I add counter. And now if I just click on this, for instance, on click, okay, I would just run handle increment. So for instance, I could just have function handle increment or something like so. And so here you could just go here and I just say is equal, and make sure this is on click. So this one would be handle increment. Okay, and this one will just come and just simply get set counter. It would access to the previous counter, and then it will just say counter plus maybe 1. Okay, something like this. It would be previous counter plus what? Plus 1. So this would be changing this by getting this the initial counter and then adds 1. And we could have the decrement in the same way, and this one would be handle decrement. And if you just think about it in the similar way, here on click, it would be handle decrement. And for this one, we'll just get previous minus 1. So this example, if you just look at this, and you can see if you're importing a continuous use state, it only works in the client component. So just change this to client, and that's why I always recommend that your pages, so instead of making this whole entire page a client component, simply create this to become the server component, and then you import the component that you think might become a client component. So with this, now if I just go here, for instance, to increase, I think I have messed them out. You see, so this is minus, should handle decrement, so handle decrement, and the plus should handle increment, like so. So now if you just come here and I just increase, you can see that our counter is increasing. Okay, if I just come here and I decrease, you can see that our counter is decreasing. So this is not a big deal. The big deal is now if I want to do this very one, but now using Redux. Okay, first thing, as you can see, we need two functions. Okay, we need two functions. Now these functions which actually modify the state in Redux is what we call reducers. So these handle decrement and handle increment, this one, they are called reducers in Redux, because their purpose, they pass state. As you can see here, they pass in the action or the passing state that will modify the actual state. okay, the passing data, sorry, that modify the actual state. So these two, they will be like reducers. Okay, now if one just to use Redux in this example, just going to follow this. The first one is to create the store file, okay, and then in there you just simply create the store. Okay, so the store, as you're going to see, you can create the store and you use this configure store method from the toolkit. Okay, and you just first do that. So within within this root, I'm just going to create a new folder. I'm just going to create store, and this is a Redux store. So in this store, we're just going to create store.ts, just like this. So the first thing is you can create the store. So const store is equal to I think this function is called configure store. Yeah, so you can just say it is configure store. And this one takes in the first one, it takes in the reducers. And as you can see here, it takes in the reducer. Okay, and this reducers you're going to see is actually a slice. Now, leave alone the other reducers I was telling you, but this whole entire store, okay, it also sends the whole entire data as a reducer. We're just going to look at that. But right now, after creating the store, export default store. So you have to create a store and then export it. That is the first step. So here we pass in the slices. Okay, so the store will take in the slices. And what are slices? So slices are pieces of state that you want to monitor within Redux. So for instance, we want to monitor our counter. So for instance, we want to monitor, like for instance, the counter. So I will just say create a counter slice. So this counter slice will hold the whole entire state for the counter component. If I want to hold the, for instance, the cart, I will create the cart slice. So this cart slice will hold all the data for the entire cart. Okay, it will hold all the reducers, the functions, all the state, and all other things. So this is important. Here we're just going to put this here. So after creating this, the only thing you actually need to do is creating now a slice. So within the store, you can create a new folder called slices. And in the slices, you can create a slice that is like a piece of state that you want to monitor. For instance, in this count, we want to monitor the counter and we call it counter slice like this, .ts. Okay. Now, as you can see here, you have to create the slice. Okay, and within here, when it is TypeScript, we are going to say that we have to configure these two things. This, the root state that defines the store state, and the app dispatch. We are going to look at the dispatch. Okay, we're just going to look at the, dispatch. So I'm just going to go ahead and just say, bring in also these two. Okay, you can just go back to the store, and down here you can define these two. Okay, the root state plus the app dispatch, and we are going to use these ones in just in a second. But for now, let's just define the types here. We are going to use this. So every state we keep in within this one is going to have this root state, because it is getting it from the store and it gets this state. Then for the dispatch functions, for instance, when you're just like dispatching is just like calling a function, okay, or calling a reducer, and you're going to look at dispatching or calling or invoking the reducer. So we use this dispatch state. We're going to look at that. So what you just do is create the counter slice. Okay, now let's look at how we create the slice. You have to create the slice and also export default this slice dot reducer. That is the most important thing. We have the reducer and the reducer. That's the difference. Reducers, these are functions that will change the state, but then the reducer is actually a piece of state, the way you can see here on the counter slice. So I'm just going to say in the slice here, in the counter slice, I will first create the slice. So const counter slice, okay, is equal to create slice. Okay, create slice, just like this. So the after creating it, we can export it. So export default. So just export default counter slice dot, and here what we want to export from here is this reducer. And then within here we define three things. When you're creating the counter or the slice, the slice is composed of three things. The first one is the name. So for instance, here you can just say, and you say, I'm going to name this, sorry. You're also going to say, I'm naming this counter, like this. The second one is the initial state. You have to pass in the initial state. The third one, you have to pass in the reducers, like this. So here are the three things you need. You need the name of the name within this the slice, which here we're naming it counter, and then we need this initial state and this one. So to have the initial state, you must have the type of this counter. So we can just say interface, and we just say counter state. Okay, so what is this one? So this one, we just have a value which is actually a number. Okay, and you can see where we had this counter here, and if you hover onto this here, you can see that this counter is a number. Even when we didn't define it here, it used TypeScript inference to infer that this is a number. And exactly here, that's what you're doing here. They're saying that the counter state is just having a value which is a number, as simple as this. So you can just go ahead and just say also const, and you say initial state, okay, which is of type count state, is equal to, and you just say, come here and say value by default is going to be equal to 0. So this is defining the initial state. Okay, so this step here, these two steps, is this step here. So the way you see here, let me just copy and just come to this slice. So these steps you see here, this counter and counter set counter state, this initial value I've set here, it is this one, initial state. Okay, and then here we define the state explicitly, just like so. And now we need this set counter, and here we have to take in these reducers, this function which modify the state. We said is part of the reducers. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and you create reducers, and we need two reducers. We need the one to increment and decrement. So I can just come here, and inside the reducers, I will just get them from here, like so. So inside the reducers, we have one that is going to increment, and you can just say, for instance, handle the, we could just come here and we say handle increment. I don't know if we just need to just leave it like that. We have the increment, but if you just look at it exactly what it is doing, it takes in this state exactly the way this one was doing the handle. If you remember, this was taking in the previous state, and then it adds state plus 1. If you just look at this, it's doing exactly the same, taking the state and then state dot value plus 1. Okay, similarly, it takes in the decrement, it subtracts 1, and you can see from the state. And this state here, if you just hover this, is going to be actually the counter state. And if you just see, it gets the state.value because this value here is what you indicated here. Okay, so remember that when you access state, you actually accessing this object. Okay, now here we have these ones. So after doing this, we need to expose these functions across the entire app. So now you can just go ahead and now just export also these. Okay, so you can just come here, export the increment, decrement as from the counter slice dot actions. Okay, so they're the only things we need, and this is going to be the basic layout for every slice we create. We have to have the initial state. To have the initial state, you must have the types for this, and then we create a slice. A slice is composed of three things: the name, initial state, plus the reducers. And these are like the functions which will modify the state. Okay. And then afterwards, you export them, the functions, plus the slice itself. After doing this, you can just now come to the store, and then you can now bring in this slice here. So when you just go see this back here, if I scroll back on top, you can see the counter now is called here. Okay, so we can just come here and we define this counter. Just say counter, and then you're just going to see this one takes in the counter slice. Counter slice, as simple as this. Okay, so now the counter is within our store. So the only thing we just need right now is to share this the store globally so that we can access this the counter globally. So do that down here. We have to integrate with the provider, and you're going to do this in the layout. Now this is why it differs with React. If you're using pure React, you would configure this in the app.tsx, but then here we have to configure this in the layout because this is what serves the whole entire app, which is the layout. So we have to configure this in the layout. Now we cannot put the provider directly here because the provider is on the client, and this one by default we want to maintain this as the server side. So to do that, what we can just do is outside here in the root, you can just create a new folder for providers, like so. And then inside here, you can also just say providers.tsx. And then inside here, you can just say RFC. We have providers, and we're just going to wrap the Redux provider within here. So you can just say provider, and this is going to come from Redux, React Redux, and this one takes in the store, okay, which is store. We remember we exported this, get it from the store, and then within here, just going to wrap this with the children. They just like this children, and now children of React node. So you can say React node, just like this, and then you just pass in the children. Okay, so if you have other providers, we can also wrap them within here so that we have one single provider that is going from here. That's why you normally create the folder called providers, because you can add as many providers within this, and then you export this and then use it once. So moving in, we have to bring in these providers. As you can see, this is exactly what we have done here. We have to bring in this provider and we take it to the layout. So within the layout here, where we have these children, you can just go here and just say that providers, just like this. Not provider, providers, just like this, and paste this. Okay, let me first remove this here. So you have to get the providers from providers here. Now, the only thing you have to do to make sure that this providers is a client component. So right now, in the server components, let's just go ahead on top here, make this a use client. After doing this, you might not see any problem within your app, no any issues yet. But now we have this store having the state for this. This store now, if I just go to this store now is having the counter slice. So now we can just go ahead and now use this counter slice. And really in the counter slice, it just needs only just like 2 things or 3 things. It needs this, and the state itself. Now, if you go in React, or if we, if you just go through here in our documentation, you just see now, we just say you created a counter component, which we already have. And if you see in the most important thing here, we actually import the increment, decrement, plus the root state here. And then we have to say that the count is using this use selector. Now, this use selector hook is the one which exposes the data, okay, from the Redux toolkit or the Redux store. So count is use select, and then we pass in the state, which is of type root state. And then in this state, we access the counter. Now this state here, it gives you access up to this point here. So it will give us this back, this reducer here. That's why you say you access the counter, and then from the counter, you access this value. Okay, so we need these 2 things here. And you can see that the dispatch is using use dispatch, and using this dispatch, you can dispatch these things here. Okay, let's just see how to do that. So as we said, I'm just going to go here. Just go to the counter. So we're just going to now go ahead and do this. So here we had this counter coming from here. I'm just going to take off this. So you have to define now the counter. Do we call it counter? Yes. So just say counter is going to be, so you say const. Okay, const counter, this very one we now get from Redux, is equal to use select or use selector from Redux. Now this one takes in actually the state, okay, and then from this state we can access. Now if you can see here, it does not give us the auto completion because the state right now is an unknown. That's why we need to give this one the root state, like so, and we can just get from here. Now if I just say dot, it should give us now whatever is in state. And now from this, we can set in the counter, we have the value. So right now, we have the value of the counter. For the increment, we need to dispatch. So to be able to dispatch, you must first say const dispatch. You create a dispatch, and this one is use, I think, dispatch from Redux, like so. Now we can use this dispatch to call the functions within Redux. So for instance here, we want to dispatch, so you can just say a dispatch, and then I can dispatch in here an increment, for instance, and you can just import this from the store, just like this. So this is here what we call the dispatch. I'm dispatching the increment, and then here I'm just going to go ahead and dispatch the decrement, just like this. Make sure you import this decrement and increment from the slice. Okay, so decrement is a function like so, and that's it. Now we have this. Okay, we have this here. You can see. So if I just go here now, back, this should be working. I'm just going to refresh. I'm just going to say this. Now, the good thing is that this now is no longer just in within this component. If I just went to the home page, let me duplicate here. Let's go to the home page. Okay. So down here, I'm just going to put, I'm just going to go to the page and I just say you, for instance, manage the state here. So if I just go here, create another heading, maybe for instance, like manage it, manage the state. Okay. So maybe the problem, I don't want to make this a client. I would, if I wanted to do this, I would have to go to another, create another component. Okay. Maybe just say here, for instance, counter value or something, counter value.tsx, just to show you for purposes of showing you RFC. So now, if I just want to just show here the counter, for instance, I will just go and get it. I'll just say const counter. We all know that it is equal use a selector, okay, from the Redux, and you pass in a state like so. It has access to the state, and now this state, as we said, we have to give it the root state to be able to actually have it. So here we just have state dot and we just say state dot um import this root state, not from this query. Sorry. Sorry. Make sure that this is not coming from this toolkit weird thing. Make sure this one is coming from the store. Now here we can now access the counter dot value like so. Now I can just say counter here. Okay. Now I can just use this counter value. I can just go on page and let's just go ahead and put, as I had just indicated here, like manage the state or something. If I just come here and I say the manage the state across the entire app, across the entire app. So if I just go down here, for instance, I could just go bring this, the counter value. Okay, the counter value like this. Okay. So if I just go back, of course, make sure that this one is a use client. This counter value is supposed to be a use client. So if I just go back, it is saying it is 0. That's because just the page has routed, but I just refresh here, increase this to maybe 10. Okay. So I'm not seeing how this one is working, but if you increase this one, I should just like be able to see to the side. Okay, let's just go ahead and just console.log the counter. So if I just go here and see the value of the counter, for some reason, let me just also go in this page and see counter. I'm just going to say console.log counter, console.log counter, like so. So here is 15. If I just do like this, it is 20. Now, what I don't understand is when you go here, I don't know if you just like, because it is just in, This should just like be accepted. If I think we're supposed to save it like sort of like saving it in local storage, of which I'm not going to do that. Okay, so at least now we have this value um saved in Redux. Okay, we have that kept in Redux, and that's really nice. Now let's just go to the second example. Now for this one, okay, um, um, I don't know. I don't know why. Let me see how to reload the client. I don't know it's because we put this in the server component. I'm not so sure because every time you increase or change the state, this side, sorry, it's supposed to like to go and modify whatever you have like the state across the pages. Okay, let me just go to Redux and I console.log. Okay, yeah. You can't accept. Just go to the store. I think here where we have the slices in here, we can't just console.log. Let's just see. Can we just console.log within here? Really? Supposed to be entirely in any place. Hmm. I believe that this one is just because of the server component. I have that belief. Counter value here. So let me see. Every time I increase like the site, let's first see here. Every time I do change, okay, even here is 0. So if I change it to 9, I go this side. I don't know why it's not like rebuilding, and it's not supposed to be giving us a different value for some reason. Anyways, there is one thing that they recommend in their documentation. So if you just check here under TypeScript quick start and you just move down here, they talk about defining these type hooks. So they say while it is possible to import root state and app dispatch types into each component, it's better to create the typed version of the use dispatch and the use selector for usage in your application. So they just give reasons here. So you can just go ahead and we're going to create this hook. So instead of just like reusing every time saying use this root state, so instead you create the selector which already has actually this root state within it. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this and just go to components, not components in the store. So within the store, I'm just going to create another folder called hooks. So call this here hooks, and you can just go ahead and just say hooks.ts, hooks.ts, and paste this. So basically, what we just need is to import the root state, this one, from the store, plus this app dispatch from the store. And then instead, wherever we want to use the select, we use this use app select, and then we use app dispatch. So in other words, where we use it, for instance, here, where we use it, let me see. So if you just see how they used it here, application usage, I guess, let me see. I'm not seeing why they used it. Okay, so you can see here what they get the count, and then this dispatch, they are not getting them, they're getting them from now the hooks. Okay, so now we can change our use selector. So for instance, in the counter component here, I'm just going to go here, instead of saying this count, so name this to count, and instead of just using this, just going to remove this, and I just going to say use app. This time I'm just going to use app selector, and this one just does the same thing. It takes in the state, so you can just go ahead and take in the state, and then state dot. Now you can see right now the state already have the counter. We don't need to define it because this one already have the TypeScript of the count state. Okay, the same thing as the dispatch. Now instead we could just use this use app dispatch like so, and everything just remains the same. Now we don't need this from Redux. Now we'll be using these ones from, and even this one. So we'll be using now they use dispatch and they use app select from these store hooks. Right. So here, of course, this one has to be the count. So this makes the completion of this example. Okay, this completes our example here. Now let's go and see how to implement the second example. Okay, so in the second example, we have, if you go on the page, just going to remove this weird managed state. I don't know. I'm just going to go ahead and just remove this. So I'm just going to go ahead and go how to implement the cart functionality. Just go ahead and just create the shop page. Okay, just within this app, just create shop slash page dot tsx rfc. Okay, so you can just come here and I say h2 is going to be shop. Okay, so now you can see on the shop we have the shop. So just go ahead and just implement a simple shop which just shows the products only just like this. Okay, I'm not going to put all this sidebar for filtering. I just simply want a product, its name and price, and then add to cart just like this. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and put this title. So basically we'll have this shop, and then in the shop it will have in the components, just going to say product list. So I've got a new component and I call it product list dot tsx like so, rfc, and then here just going to have h2 of product list. Bring this into the shop. Sorry. So just have this product list. I'm just going to give it the same I'm just going to give it the same sort of styles we gave to the counter. So just in the counter, I'm just going to copy this, bring it to the shop. Okay. So instead of BGS rate, I'm just going to say 50. Okay, just exactly the same. If we just go back, we have something like this. So let me just go ahead and design this very fast. So one thing you can also do is that we're just going to have a products of which you can fetch from the API. We're just going to see that in a second, but what we can just do is we can design this here. So in the product list, I'm just going to come here down, dot padding y of 8. Down here, I'm just going to have a list of products. So the product is made up of the image, okay, the title, price. So here we're just going to have this. Sorry, I'm just going to say image from next image, like so. Should have the source. Okay, so I'm just going to get one example of the image here. Maybe I just get I could just say calcium supplement image. Just get any here, maybe any of these images. Let's save the image. I'm just going to create calcium. Go and get this image. Control C. Go into the app. So just going to go into the app fabric, reveal, and paste this. So this is calcium.jpg. Going back here, just going to be calcium.jpg. Okay, you could just go ahead and just get its dimensions by hovering here, 225 by 225. Okay, so just going to come here, width is 225 and height is 225. Okay, we give the alt, just say alt, and just say calcium. Okay, and let's give it a class name. Okay, so for now, down here, I'm just going to put the price. If you go to our design here, we'll have the title. I just have a H3 of calcium supplement product. Okay, and then after that we have the rating, we have the price. So you can just have the p tag for the price, maybe $300. And then we have this add to cart button. So we can just add the button. And for that, I'm just going to use button from, I'm just going to use the button from here. You can just go chat, I think of which we already have here. And we can just add the button quickly. And let's go ahead and just implement this. Okay, just down here, npx install. So just adding the button. Okay, which has add to cart, and that's it. So you can just come here and down and just say button. Just say add to cart, and this you can even just add the cart. So if we just go ahead and inside here we add the cart, just go here, you can say, I think it's shopping bag or something. Shopping bag, and you add like a span, add to cart like that. So now for this, where this is contained, they just give grid, grid calls, maybe one, maybe two, and in MD they just say grid calls maybe four. I don't know how many items should be there. They have three. Okay. Failed, we have to pass the slash. So to the image, let me see. Make sure you pass the slash like so. Okay. So we have the image like that. Let me just work on the back. Just give this a class name of width is 4, height 4. Okay. Okay. So we have something like this. Okay, so for this, we could just go and give the class name. Could just define the height instead, actually. I just say 14. For the width, it should be auto and object fit. Okay, just give this one to maybe 20. Maybe just maintain, we need to give height and width, which are the same. Just take it to be okay. Let's just try 30 something. Okay. That is 6 rounded. I'm just going to say rounded. Okay, so this is for now. I'm just going to give this font semi bold. Okay, and then the price is that. So you can just make this to be a component. Okay, I'm just going to make this as a component. Maybe it's not exactly look like this one, but at least just give this one, give it also a class name, text sm, and let's give it also a padding y, maybe of 2. Okay, so slightly this is how it looks like right now. Let's remove text. And for this, let's give it a max width. Okay. So if I just give it that, okay, so this should just be okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and create this as a product component. For now, just copy inside this. I'm just going to say product .tsx, and let's return this image from next image, and the button plus the shopping bag. Okay, so this should just be to remain exactly the same. I'm just going to go to close all this. I'm just going to go to the product list, and I'm just going to remove this. Just simply say product, just like that. So you can just have as many products as we want, just like so. Okay, so just go ahead and change this to maybe for Excel. And we can also go and give the gap of 6. Okay, great. And we could just also consider using these ones as 4. Yeah, I think this is much better. Okay, so if we just went here and gave this class name, we're just going to say font bold text XL. Okay, just like this. And let's give it just like a px of 16, something like this. Okay, so we have the product list where we have different products. If we click it, we just want to add it in the cart. That's the most important thing that we just want to add to this shop. So you could first go and we just say dummy data. Okay, just say fake store. There are so many places you can just get the data these days. Okay, if you just wanted, there is this fake store, there is this, so many places you can just get the fake store API sort of data. Okay, me personally just normally like this one, but we can just look at even this here. It looks like the other one. So if you just go here and you say, which language is this? Looks like it is in some weird language. Do I need to change the language or something? Okay. I don't know. Is my internet on? Let me just use this one. You see? So you can just get this here. Okay. So we have the products. Okay. So you can see we have these products. So you can just go ahead and fetch this. I'm just going to copy this here. Control C. And you could just go ahead and just create like a quick actions here. So just go and say here actions, and then you create here page, sorry, products. Now, if you wanted, you could actually fetch the products within the Redux, okay? But I don't think it's a good thing because you're not going to be accessing like it is easy because most of the times you're going to have your data coming from the API and should land in your actions. So you're just going to have here use server. So it's not good fetch within. Just use the recommended fetch. So I'm just going to say export async function get all products. Okay, so I would just have like so, and I'll just have try catch within here, and we can just say get products. So get const products. I think we could just use axios.get. So if you just say axios npm install axios. So here we could just use axios. We just use fetch. It has no problem. But just say axios dot get, and then you simply pass in the endpoint. Sorry, simply pass in the endpoint, and this one would be a response, and would get products is equal to const products or equal to response dot then here you have to have await. So you say await, okay, and then this one will be response dot data, as simple as that. So just return, let's return products. For this case, we could just say return null. And you could also go ahead and just say console.log the error. And in this, so we could just go to this either the product list. Okay. We could just go here where we have the product list const. Actually, avoid redundancy, I guess. We could just avoid redundancy by just simply taking this return into the shop. So if we just go back to the shop, we could just paste this here. Could just paste this here. Now this would take off one redundancy thing, that one, import the product. And then we don't need this product list. We just have the product key just in here. So we could just get all the products const products is equal to await get all products, just like this. I means making this async. Now we could just go ahead and confirm if this is getting us the data by removing all this. And now we could first of all, if the products are not there, we could just go and just create this. If products, and then products strings, dot length is greater than 0, then okay, then we could just return this. It is. We could just return no products found. Just a Peter says no products found. Okay. So within here, we just have to map. So this, where there is this product, let's just go ahead and map the products dot map. Now this one is not having right now any TypeScript data. So what you can just do is then before I put this, I can just go back to this here and look at the response. Okay. And what you can just do, so long as you have the response, you can just copy this. Go to, you can just go to chat like so. And just say create for me types for this. Okay. It just quickly just create for you the types like this. Interface products, so you just need these two here like so. So just copy this. Okay, and you can go ahead and also create types. So down here you can create a new types, stroke types .ts, paste in this. The only thing we just want is to export the product. So export interface product, which has all these ones. Okay, just come back here. Okay, and you could just return even in the actions when you just return products as, oh sorry, as product. So you can just get product from types like so. Now when you just, if you return like this, products as, now you just like getting these products and giving them that type. So meaning on this page here, if you hover now, these ones are having actually types. So you see, they have this type like so. So that means if I just come here and I map through this, I could just say something like products dot, I can see they are bringing me map. Okay, I will have access to the item and I can just return this product, give it the key, and I want to access the key from the item dot. So now you see they give us quickly this here ID like so. So if I just do this, go back to this here, we have now these so many things here because these are the number of items that are there. So on a product list, I can put the number of items. So for instance, here, I can put in brackets and I just say products.length. So products.length, and by default, I want this to be 0. Make sure you put this in brackets. Okay, so possibly now you can first check if the products exist. So you say always products, and then you say and when these. Okay, just a second. So just say products and products dot length. So this one you just first check if they exist, and then it will get that. So you can see there are now 24 items. Now I can just get this item. I'm just going to pass it down. So item, or could just say product, is equal to item. Just like this. I could just go to the product, accept this as an item, and this item would be of type product. So I just say product. And I think this should be like just like this. Okay. So I'm just going to go here, and since we can just do this item dot, you can see we have images, and then we can just get the first image, Calcium. Here we'll have item dot title, and then here I'm just going to say item dot price, and you could just say here, that's it. We have this. What does this mean here? The product, okay, just say product item. Okay, and we could just even just remove this, and then you say type. I think you could just add this type onto this, or you could change this one something else. Okay, because this can be conflicting in most cases. So if you just go in a shop page, um, product key number is not assignable type. This side is product. This is product, not just like this. So this changes to products. Okay. So this is how you just would just fetch this, and it's saying images something. Okay, I think this has to do with the cannot read properties of null. So here I'm just going to give a default value of slash Calcium dot JPEG. Okay. And also, if you have something like this, you're supposed to use the loading. So I'm just going to say here loading.tsx rfc loading. I'm just going to return here. And just return h2, which says loading. This would be really necessary for this. You can see here. So we need just to place this here in the next image. They're saying source must start with a slash. I don't know what it is talking about. So you just go here and you see there is this. The images are not looking good. Really, the images are not looking good, but we could just use the one of the category. Not just use this image for the category. The ones for this, I don't know why they added this weird slash at the beginning like this. So I'm just going to say dot category dot image. Here, I'm just going to use the category image. Product dot category dot image. I think that one should be much better. Okay, so just add this in the, can just first go here and we're going to add this remote patterns. So just copy this and let's go and add this in a config. Next config actually. And let's go ahead and copy this. You can just bring this here where we have assets. You can also remove these ones. Okay, so this should just restart the server if I make changes, and can just go and refresh this. So after configuring the images, we have something like this. And I don't like this. One thing, by the way, you can, instead of host name of putting different hosts, you can just go ahead and put star star to mean that you accept all the images from all domains, like so. But this one doesn't serve us. First of all, it has the same title. If you just check this, it has the same title, new product, the same price, and the same image here. So this really doesn't serve us what we want. So I'm just going to change quickly the API. So just search for dummy e-commerce API and you can just go to this dummy JSON. And then you just go to this endpoint products and it has something like this. So I'm just going to go and change to this. Now it changes even this, it changes the object. The object has a lot more things. I'm not sure if we need all these, but I'm just going to copy this object. I'm just going to say create for me the interface for this product, just like this one. Okay, so just going to go ahead and create a new one. Okay, just go ahead and copy this here. Okay, just copy and let's go ahead and use this. So I'm just going to go to the types down here I will add this. Now for the ones which are repeating, the ones for the interface, the one which has a interface, I'm just going to so in the first case it had category products, only those ones, I guess, and the images or something. Let me just first go Control Z. So at first we had these ones, okay? So want to bring in the new ones. So what I'll just do, I will prefix them with this. For the product, I'm just going to prefix it with the I, okay, to mean that this is an interface. So we just need to change in a few places. First of all, I'm changing the API to this one. So copy this. I will remove this one here. Now this one will be dot products, just like this. Race.data.products, because if you just look at this, it is having these key products. Okay, so that should be enough. Now we're just going to, instead of using this, we use iProduct. Just go and first of all export this. Export iProduct. So here in this, bring in the iProduct, and that is okay. You can just go to the page here on the page. You can just go to this product, and you can just use this as the I product, just like this. Now this changes things. That's why you can see here we have dot images. So we can just say images at 0. Then we have the title. I think these other ones are there. So you just go back to the home page. Okay. We just load like this. So you can see we have at least some actual products with some actual names and so on and so forth. So this one is much better. Okay. Okay, so now what I just want to do is to start adding the add to cart functionality, and we can just list this one. We can limit them. If you just go to the API, we don't need all these, but if you go to this, they can say by default we'll get 30 items, use limit and skip, so they have this limit here. So we can just do this. We just say limit, and we can just limit to 10. So passing limit to 10, I'm just going to go here in actions. I will pass in limit equal to maybe 12 items, just like this. And this should just give us only 12 items. If you just see here, we have again now 12 items. Great. So what we just need is to add the cart. Adding the cart page. If we click on this cart, then we can just go to the cart page. So let's just start implementing the cart. So in going back to the store, so we can just go back to the store, and we'll do exactly the same things that we did. Okay. So for instance, I can just go to the store here. I first create the slice, which will be the cat slice, cat slice.ts, like so. And in this one, we just do the same thing, create the slice and blah, blah, like that. So if you just go down here, the slice, I'm just going to copy here. I will just explain. Okay. So first thing is we need to define this. Okay. Now we could just change this into a cat item. Okay, we could just change this into a cat item. For instance, we just say cat item. Okay, item should have an ID, should have a name and a price, and maybe an image. And I'm just going to say this one is a string. Okay, so this is the first thing. You have to define the interface for the item you want to keep. In this case, we want to track a cat item. When someone adds a cat item, we want to track it. Now, when you come here, you can see cat state. Okay, it is going to be cat items. So you could just come here and change this one. Instead of products, let's say cat items. And this one is going to be of cat item, like so. Okay, the initial state, which is of cat state, is going to be cat items, like this, and an empty array. So this is the initial state of our cat. So the cat should contain cat items as an empty array, but it will be having a cat item with an ID, name, price, and image, like so. Now, when you come here, we just name this as cat slice. So I'm just going to say cat slice. Okay, we give it the name, which is going to be cat. Then we define the initial state and the reducers. So we need two reducers. One to add the product to cart and then remove the product to cart. So the one which adds the product to cart, it have access to the state, that is the initial state. It has the action, the coming data, which of this one is of the cart item. So the coming data should be of type cart item, and we use this payload action. And if you look at the payload action comes from the Redux. Okay, so here we just need to get the state dot cart items. So we have cart items dot push action dot payload. The same here. Remove product from cart. Okay, you could just even just say add product to cart, and you can just say remove product from cart. Okay, and then this one also have the access to the state, the initial state, and then it has this payload. And now to remove item from cart, you need its ID, which is of type number here. And we can just say state dot cart items, state dot cart items is equal to state dot filter. So here we just say state dot cart items dot filter. We get access to this to a single product or a single item. And then we just say if this item dot ID is not action dot payload. Remember the payload here is a number. So this is going to be literally the ID. Okay, we're passing the ID. It simply goes to the state, gets the items, and it filters out the item whose ID is not equal to the ID we are passing in. So after that, just export this, add product to cart, and then remove product to cart. Remove product from cart, and this one's going to be cart slice dot actions, and then this one is cart slice dot reducer. So this is the same exact the same way we did the counter, in exact same way. Is the exact same way we have done the cut slice. You have the state you want to manage. Okay, the cut state is going to have cut items of type cut item, and the initial state is an empty array, and like that. So if you went on this cut page, so I'm just going to go ahead and create the cut, create another page within this. Just going to call this cut, and I'm just going to go to here, page.tsx, and I'm just going RFC. Okay, h2, I'm just going to say shopping cart. Okay, I'm just going, I will make this a client component. Okay, use the client. So we can just go ahead, for instance, get const cut. So if I just want to say const cut items is equal to use app selector, just like this, and this has access to the state, and we can just say state dot. Okay, so we haven't added the cart to the store, so just go back to the store here and add comma, and we can just say cart. This one is going to be cart slice, cart slice, like this. So we have the counter, now we have the cart. So if I go back this side, it will be state dot, so you can see the state has now counter and cart, and then from here you can access cart items. So you just go ahead and just console.log the cart items, like so. Okay, I'm just going to have also here view cart, and even we can just also items in the cart. So I will just go to where we have product, the shop page, like so. So here I'm just going to add it in flex. So dot p py maybe of 3. This is going to have flex items center justify between. I'm just going to have this, also another h2 saying cut. So cut, sorry, cut items, and that's where the problem comes from, because now that one has to be okay. I'm just going to add here a link instead, which says view cut. So I'm just going to say link href, which takes to the cut. I'm just going to say here view cut. Put this from next link. Okay, so now just go here. You should just have a view cut, like so. And for purposes of simplicity, just copy this. Okay. So you can just go ahead and just view cart, and we have shopping cart over there. So if you just go to the cart page, we have this. If we just go to the console now, should just have the items console, and you can see array 0, and you can just say shopping cart, and I can just come here and I put the number of items that are there in the cart, like so. I'm just going to say cart items. So this is an array, dot length. Make sure you add this inside like so. Okay, so you can see here we have 0. Okay, and an empty array here. So what I just want to do is, of course, when we just go to the shop page, I just want to add items in the cart. Okay, so what I just want, if I click here, I want to invoke this. If you just go back to the Redux, we have the cart slice. I can go ahead and just invoke this add product to cart. Okay, so if I just go back to the product where we have this button, I want to invoke that. So first of all, I'm going to convert this into a use client. Now that I'm just going to use like this. Okay, and I could just say here handle. You could just have a function here, or you could even just do it direct here. Okay, for instance, on click, you could just run a function just like this, and you could just say use dispatch. So you could first create a dispatch here, const dispatch, and this one is going to be use app dispatch like so. And then here we can just come here with dispatch add to cart, so dispatch, and then inside here you can just call the any function. I guess if you just do this, we can have I think this add product cart just like this, and this is a function, call it like this. Okay, and this one takes in the data you are adding, so we're just going to pass in the product. Okay, so we'll pass in the product. The problem is that if you look at this, what we are entering in here is we striped this this item to be less. This one is having I product. Okay, and they're saying here argument type I product is not assignable type cart item. So we have here this we're supposed to pass in the cart item. So we could just come and define the cart item from this, or we could just add this whole entire stuff. If we wanted, we could just add all that to this. Alternatively, we could just go, and if I just go to the cart slice, the only thing that I needed are only these ones. Okay, only these ones. So I could just pass in this object. Okay, so I could just come here on this where we are just clicking this. I could just go ahead and pass in an object that is composed of ID, and the ID is going to be product dot ID, comma, and we have other things like image, which should be product dot images at 0, and then we just go ahead and just add another one name, which is product dot I think title, something, the title, and then finally we have the price, which is going to be product dot price, I guess. And this is what you call this, what you're passing here is what we call a payload. So this, if you just go back to the cart slice, this is the payload that is coming in here as the action. This. Okay, so this action is the payload. That's why you say here, you could even name it as action, or you could name it as, you can see here inside this, the action, it has the payload plus the type. Okay, so this one is very important to understand that. Okay, so now this is how I'm passing in here in this. On a click, I'm passing in this. Okay, passing the ID, image, name, and that. So if we just go now and add to click, I add like this. By the way, we just need to also alert. That means that I'm just going to cut all this function, cut this, and instead I'm just going to say handle uh, handle add to maybe handle add. I'm just going to call this create this function handle add. So function handle add just like so, and then you can just call this. So this is the same thing, dispatch, and then you dispatch add product to cart, and then inside it we are passing in the payload. Okay, we are passing in. You could just even just come here and you add it clearly here that const new cart item is equal to this, and then here you pass in the new cart item like this. Depending how you want to do it, it's up to you, but this is exactly the same thing. Okay, so what I just want is to toast. Okay, so you could just come in and add the toaster, react hot toast. Okay, I'm just going to copy one thing, this one, copy, and I'm just going to say npm install react hot toast. A second, react hot npm install react hot toast like that, and just in the providers, so where we have the providers, you can just go and add this as a provider. So inside here, here you can just add this and you can import the toaster like that. Great. And now if I just go back, I just need to call the toaster now. When I add a new item, I just need to call toast dot success, and we can just say item added to cart. So item added successfully. Okay. So just go ahead, said, and we could just go here and say add, and you see item added successfully, add item added successfully. Now, one we could just say here, we change this to remove to cart. If this item has been successfully added, we change this button to remove to cart. Okay. For instance, I can just go ahead and put these two buttons like so. And one just going to be remove from cart. Remove from cart. I can change this one, give it another variant. Okay, I just going to give it destructive. Okay, so I want to show them if it is already in a cart. Now, how to show that is we could also just say here, maybe could just put a const maybe already, could just say existing, set existing is equal to use state, and here if you say by default false, um, I'm not sure if that is going to work really. So here we just say if it is existing, if existing is true, we could just show this. Else, we could just show this. I think it's not reliable. I'm not sure. This is not reliable. We could just use maybe, let me see. Just like use local storage. Mm, for now, I just go and just do this set existing. Like even this, we could just also have it here. So after adding it to cart, we could also just go ahead and set existing to true. So let's just show if we just can now, like these ones which are already in the cart, they're supposed to show, but just click on this. Now it has showed like remove from cart. Okay, this is good. If you refresh, all this goes. Okay, just add like 1, 2, okay, 3. And let's go and see the cart. So if you just say view cart, now you see the shopping cart has 3 items and they're here. Okay, so you can just go ahead and design the cart. So I had my shopping cart looking like this. So I'm just going to go and design the cart. First of all, I'm just going to go to the shop, copy some of these styles here. I don't know if the cart already have them. So just come here and give class name. Okay. So just say here a div rounded a max width of XA BG white, rounded maybe XA, and you just say here MX auto. So you could just have here this. The first one is going to be the header, which has this items. And then another one is the item, the name, and the price. Okay, so down here, we have this image. I'm just going to really just copy some from the product. So just copy this here. Can go to the cart here and just paste this. Okay. And it will be also the map. So this, I'm just going to map through the cart items. So this is this one here. Dot space y. Okay, and let's go ahead and do cart items dot. So if the cart items dot length is greater than 0, would just go ahead and do this. I'm just going to put that one outside for now. I'm just going to say good dot map. You have access to the item, to just say product. So just go ahead and return this. You can pass in the key here, which is going to be a product dot ID. Now here we actually have the actual image, so just pass in the image. We have here dot name and the price. Okay, like that, and I can just come in and put divide y. Okay, divide y of 4, and I'm just going to say divide gray 300. Okay, so if we just go back here, we're just going to go and put if there is no anything in the cart. So here I can just say if cart items dot length is greater than 0 and this is true, then could just show this. It is just going to have a div showing h2 no items in cart, like so. Now you just see here no items in cart. Okay, I can just give this a min height of like 90 something. Okay, just like so. No items in the cart, but if we just go ahead and add some items in the cart, like at the shop here, add this, add this, add that. Let's go and view cart. So you see now you have 3 items like so. Okay, so you can also add, we can add a button for remove, remove from cart. So let's just go here and we make this one to be a flex. Okay, items center. This one should just like put, okay. I'm just going to have to duplicate this, go to shop. Just add this view card. Okay, so we have this. I'm just going to go ahead and justify between. So down here, I'm just also going to add the remove button. I'm just going to add the whole of this in another div, which will be the one with the key actually, a product.id. I will remove it, the key, I will remove it from this. So that down here, I'm just going to add a remove button. So you can add button and you can just say remove. Okay, so you can just go to the shop and they just add some things like it will have trash. Okay, so now we just want this. Okay, so just add like that. Let's go. Okay, so just want we have this remove. So want on click like this, it should remove this item from cart, which we actually already have the logic. So if I just come here on click, you can just come here and just say function handle add, just like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to say I get the dispatch here. So const dispatch is equal to use app dispatch like that. Now we can just come here and we say dispatch, and we can dispatch the remove. Okay, we can dispatch the remove. Now for this case, we actually, this one has taken an ID of I think it is number, and then you're going to say dispatch remove product from cart, remove product from cart, and this one takes in the ID like this. So this is handle remove. Okay, so if I just come here on this remove button and click, I will just say handle remove, and I will pass in the if we just want to do this, we have to do like this. So handle remove, we just pass in product dot id like this. Okay, so now, okay, we don't have anything. Go back to the shop. So just add two items, go back here. We have two items in the cart. Click on this, you see it instantly goes. If you remove this, we have no items in the cart, which is really nice. Okay. I feel like this, we can center it. Just a second. Text center. Just say use flex items. Center, justify center. I'll just say height full. I don't know if that could just say, just look at the mean height. Okay, so we just have something like this, no items in the cart. Let's go and add some things. So right now what we just have achieved is that we can add item and we can just go ahead and remove this item. Let me just first go and what we want also to add is that I'm just going to give this size of small. Wait. Okay. And variant is going to be destructive. So you can see items are disappearing when you reload the page. So if you have these two items, go here, you see you have them. But when you refresh the page, they all go away. First, let me first give some padding to this. I'm giving padding of maybe 8. Okay. Uh, this should be given, I think, here. So padding of 8. Why is it not working? Oh, okay. Sorry, it has to be on this padding of 8. Okay, so that's great. Hmm. Then within also this very one, I will also add some padding. On the item itself here, I will add some tx of maybe also 4. So what we want to maintain is if I add an item in the cart, okay, this one looks great. What I just want also to maintain them in state, you could just go ahead and we add these items. The item looks somehow more bigger. Could just go here and instead let's try 20 something. 28, 28. Okay, so what I just want is, you see, if the page reloads, you see that they disappear. So we can just go ahead and also add these in the local storage. Okay, so on this patch, if you look in this, the documentation here, you can see that fetching, displaying items. You can see this is exactly what we have. So when you're just adding the product to cart, you can see that on top here, you dispatch, and then you can just add to cart. We can just get local storage and we can set it like so. Okay, cart, and then you're like json.stringify, and then you first get all the cart products, and then you put, and you can just get the cart products on top here, I guess. And where are the cart products? I don't know. You can just try to add this in the local storage. For instance, where we do product here, where we're having the product. So here, where we have this product and we are adding it to cart, you can just go ahead, add it to the local storage. So here, okay. So you could just use local storage, set item cart json.stringify. Now you could just go ahead and just get this const we could just get card items here. Card items is equal to use app selector. So just going to here we just say it has access to the state. It has access to the state and state.cat items. Now we'll be having them by default. They will be coming from here. Okay. The existing cat items, I guess. Really? I'm not so sure. So here just a cat items, existing cat items dot now this new cat item. So now we add a new cat item like this. Now for this here in the cat slice, so if I just go back to the cat slice, that means the initial state here is going to be const initial const initial card items is equal to local storage dot get item, and this one will be card. Now we have to do the JSON dot pass, I guess, of this argument. Mm, so here they are saying type string or null instead of type to pound type null instead of type string. Okay, so this one can be null. Maybe just say this. Okay, so these card items can be used as initial state here. Card items to be this initial card items. Okay. I'm not sure if this is going to work out. So in the cat slice, JSON.pass expected end of JSON. I don't know what they are just Mm, mm. I don't know why I didn't consider getting it in here. Let me see. Um, I didn't get this. Set it to. Mm, okay, so I guess feeling already tired. What's the time here? Oh, okay. Just on the pass, and I think this has something. Syntax error expected end of JSON inputs. Mm-hmm. Just a second. So, just here, modifying the error we're getting. So the initial cut now, we have this function get initial cut items, and this is to safely get the cut items. I just paused for a little bit to think about it. So you just get the cut item or the stored cut items, local storage dot get item. So this, we attempt this. If it fails, we render the error, or we console down the error, and we return null or empty array if there is any errors here. Otherwise, if there is not any errors, you can see here we are returning the stored cut. So stored cut is return json.pass this. So this one will be now passed as the initial cut items. Okay. Great. So now on our UI, we can have the items in the cut persisting. You can see if I do this, the cut item is still there. So want to do that also on remove. Okay. So if you go also on the remove, cut items dot filter here, and so on and so forth. If you go back also in this documentation, where is my documentation? We have also handle remove from cut. I'm just going to go to the product, and in the product I added one more thing also. I'm just going to show you in a second, but for now let's add this handle remove from cut. Just say handle remove. It takes in the product ID, and we are just going to say dispatch. I think we had already done this. No. So we can just have handle. Okay, we did it in the other side. You're just going to handle remove product ID, which is a number, or the cut item ID. So here just have to dispatch, and we are dispatching from remove product from cut, pass the product ID. And then for the local storage, we have to set the item to cut, json.stringify get the cut items that are already existing and filter, and then we filter product.id not equal to the product ID, this one. Okay, so down here, I'm just going to go ahead and try to use this. So down here we have if existing, here shopping bag. So this one is going to have handle remove, and wait a second. We're just going to have something like this, handle remove, and we pass in product dot id, just like that. Okay. Okay, so one thing that is, we modified this existing, const existing, set existing by default false. I'm using use state here. So you can just check if the product already exists in the cart by using the sum. We can just check if existing cart items, we already have the cart items dot sum. So sum will return true or false. You can see here it returns true or false if that item exists. Okay, so dot sum item dot id is equal product dot id. So if this item exists, and you can see if the cart items changes or if the product dot id changes, this one will definitely also refreshes. Now if I just go back to the UI, let's go back to the shopping. Okay, so you can already see we have one item, this one that is already in cart. If I add that, now we have many items in the cart. Now if we just go and view cart, we have all these items in cart. And if you just go and refresh the page, we still have all these items showing that they are in cart. Okay, because we have this in the local storage. You can see even here we have all these items in cart. Okay, so we have to also go ahead and do the same thing the other side. More especially this handle remove, we have to do and set also this cart items in the local storage. So I'm just going to go to cart. I'm going to the cart, and in the cart this side, where we have this, I'm just going to go ahead and do local storage. Okay, is set item cart string file cart items, and now a product is equal to product ID. So whatever we passed in here we passed it as ID. So here we pass ID, just like this. Okay, so this should just give us the same exact experience. Okay, if I just go here, remove this one, so I've removed it. If I go to the shop, okay, so you see now this one is now not in the cart. Okay, if we just go view cart, we have 3 cart items. Okay, so of course, if you wanted to get the total, that is very easy. Just go ahead and loop through this and do the sum of this, and you can get the total cart items. Okay, so now we would proceed to the third example. Okay, I would proceed to the third example, but I'm just going to leave this a third example as the challenge. Okay, I'm just going to leave this third example as a challenge. I'm just go to go through, take you through. I'm just going to increase here like so. So you see in the third, we are implementing the multi-step form with React Hook form. and the of course and the Redux. So we first install the React hook form, and then we create a form slice exactly the same way we did. You can see here we have the form slice, which has the state. So in the state, we are going to be keeping first name, last name, phone, and the step. So you can see all these ones, we have them here. Then we have the initial state, which step is 1, and all these other ones, they have this one. And then we go ahead and create the slice, and we have to in fact we have 3 functions or 3 reducers: the update form, which updates form with the state, the next step, which adds, and the previous step, which reduces. And then we go ahead and export these ones, and now we go ahead and bring the form state in the store. Okay, and then now we can just go and create our form, which like this. You can just go and create the form just like so. Okay, now we can see we have the next step. Okay, and then on this last one is you have the previous step plus the submit button. So this should be easy. Okay, I'm just going to leave it as an exercise, and I will see what you will come up with. Okay, so I will also just go ahead, pause, do it, and then I will just come back to show you. Okay, so hoping that you also went ahead and followed the documentation to achieve the challenge. Okay, so I hope you come up to this point. So the form I was just trying to design was this, but whatever design you took, it's okay. So I have with me a simple form here. You can see we have the back button here, and you can see we are showing the active state. And then if I just go and fill in, I go to the next step, you see it goes to this. Step 2 is active, and you can see here. Okay, so this is great if you just go ahead and change this fake field, change the data, and let me clear this, submit. You can see you have all the data in the form. Okay, so let's just show you, take you step by step how I implemented this. So the first step is create the slice. So is to go to your store, in slices, create a form slice, and we give it this state. And this form state, I'm getting it from types. Okay, first name, last name, email, and a step, just like this. Then afterwards, I'm coming and I define this. So inside, let me close all this. Inside the form slice, I come and I give this. I put the initial state, give everything empty, and initiate step to be step 1. Went ahead and create the slice with the name, initial state, and the reducers. The reducers, we have the update, which takes in the form state, the data, and then returns the previous state plus the one that you have updated. Then the next step gets the current state plus 1, and previous gets the step minus 1. And then we expect these 3 as we have been doing. Then we come and add this in the store. You can see I have the form as the form slice. Now I can just go to the form page. So when you go to the form page, you will see that we have this multi-step form. If you go into the multi-step form, you have this. First of all, we can get the state, the first name, last name, email, phone, and the step. We can get them from use app select and just from the form. We can also get the dispatch to help us do the update, the data. So we have a down here where we have this. This is typically the React hook form. So we just get the register, handle submit, and all this, and we pass in the default values. Okay, that's why if you're just like navigating between pages, the data is maintained. You're not having the data being lost within these steps. Okay, so you can see I have here this step 1, step 2. So the first thing here is we have the steps on top here, and then we have the form. So just divide it into sections, the steps on top, and then the form. So the form is divided into 2 steps. If the step is equal to 1, we show this. If the step is equal to, we show this. But all this is wrapped within the form that is handled by this use form. So this is for the steps on top here. What we want is to show the active state. So just check if the step is equal to 1. I'm adding border blue 600 with border 2, and I'm doing this for all of them. Okay, and then the step, already we are getting the step here, so I can just compare using this step, and I'm using this cn. Okay, this cn, when you install this shard, you get this cn, and this is to help you pass in styles logically, like this. They will be used as the default classes, and then these ones will be rendered when this is true. Okay, so instead of doing if statements, this one can give you a clean way of putting the classes conditionally. So you just check if it is equal to 1, we add this if it is equal to 2, and like that. Then for this, the dashes like this, I simply add a dash just like this, flex 1 pixel bg slate, like so, and it works like that. And for the buttons, we have the back button and the next button. So when you click the next button, which is here, if I go in the step 1, here we have at the end, we have step 1. You can see, and by the way, you have to give this button type button, because if it is inside the form, by default it will have submit. So make sure it has type button. When you click it, it will invoke the handle submit. You can see here, it will invoke the handle submit just like so. But at the same time, it is going to dispatch the next step. Okay, it's going to dispatch the next step, and then you go to step 2, and then in the step 2 you have the back button. So you can just check here. So in the back button you have the same thing, which is dispatching the previous step, and then finally you have the submit, which is having type submit that submits the data. And that's how you can just do a mad step form easily like this. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I will see you